And I can't wait for the slate of games this week in the NFL. The Houston Texans host the Cleveland Browns. The Texans are favored by 10 in this one. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
Adam, I always like to think you and I are trendsetters. Now, I know the trends speak against the Browns in this particular spot. They're 9-26 against the number their last 35 games. But Hugh Jackson finally did something smart. He benched DeShone Kizer, went to Kevin Hogan, and you saw that Browns offense start to have a pulse in the second half against the Jets. The cluster of injuries on the Texans' defensive line makes me feel like Hogan's going to have time in the pocket and do enough to cover and maybe even get the Browns into the win column in Houston.
Win column? Hogan's heroes, more like Hogan's zeros. Todd, I love you. There's no chance here. We talked about it earlier. Deshaun Watson could have, should have been the Browns quarterback, but it's the Browns. Paul DePodesta, who once, when he was an Oakland A's executive, because of his dopey computer, drafted the fat catcher. It's Moneyball. They trade back. They don't care about the quarterbacks. The Deshaun Watson revenge game or something. I'm telling you, they are absolutely going to destroy the Cleveland Browns. The Atlanta Falcons, favored by 13 at home against the Miami Dolphins. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
I'm going to take another double-digit underdog here. This one I'm not nearly as confident in, and it's hard to be when you watch the Dolphins and see Jay Cutler in that offense sputter around the field. I do think Jay Ajayi can start to get on track against this Falcons run defense. I'm a little bit concerned about Devontae Parker's availability for the Fins, but if Atlanta starts slow, it's tough to cover nearly a 2-touchdown number. Give me Miami. They don't win this game, but they cover it with a late backdoor touchdown.
And I'm taking Atlanta to win and cover, and here's why. I'm banking on the fast start. Atlanta's been good. I don't think they've been great. They're coming off the bye. They're healthy. They're well-rested. Matt Ryan explodes. Freeman explodes. I kind of dig this Atlanta Falcons defense. The antithesis of when I take a look at the Miami Dolphins offense. It's a big number, Todd. I grant you that. I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons to destroy the Miami Dolphins. The Green Bay Packers, 3-point road favorites when they visit the Minnesota Vikings. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
It was amazing to watch the Vikings in the first half against the Bears on Monday night, Adam. Clearly, Sam Bradford wasn't anywhere close to 100%. They made the move to Case Keenum, and you saw him get Jerick McKinnon involved in the screen game. No idea where Adam Thielen was and the ability to stretch the field. A little bit concerned that Stephon Diggs is going to be a game-time decision with a groin injury, but Aaron Rodgers has struggled in his career on the road at Minnesota. This number here, I agree that Green Bay should be favored given their body of work, but I think Minnesota's defense makes a difference. I'll take the dog here catching the points.
Whoa, listen, we had Aaron Rodgers on our SiriusXM radio show, so there's karma there. And by the way, the Minnesota Vikings, injuries all over the offense. I think you're kind of minimizing that, Todd. Rodgers explodes. I like this matchup for the Green Bay defense. Maligned a week ago against Dallas, but it's Case Keenum. Dalvin Cook's not walking through that door. Love Aaron Rodgers to destroy the Minnesota Vikings. The Los Angeles Rams visit the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday. The Jags are favored by 2.5. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
Adam, you're going to laugh, but I had this game circled before the season even started for Jacksonville. Knowing that the Rams are going to have two emotional games, have to fly to North Florida into a sleepy environment with their bags packed ready to head to London. Well, sometimes the best laid plans in this business don't come to fruition, and we're laying points here with the Jags where I thought it might be around a pick'em or then even listed as a slight underdog. But what I think we saw last weekend is the Rams put their heart and soul into trying to beat the Seahawks. They came up a bit short. This Jacksonville defense is no joke. #1 in the league in defensive efficiency. I think they sell out to stop the run. They force Goff to throw into the teeth of that secondary. I like Jacksonville here, especially if Blake Bortles only attempts one pass in the second half.
Well, here's the thing, Todd. I think this is the toughest game of the week to pick. I actually think from a football perspective, it's the game of the week. I can't wait for this ball game. I'm picking the Rams. I'm picking the Rams to win the game. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be competitive. I think that LA has a major quarterback advantage. Goff versus, obviously, Blake Bortles. I love that cornerback combination for Jacksonville. But I'll tell you, the Rams, they were that close to beating Seattle. And if Cooper Kupp would have caught that ball at the end, maybe there'd be a different perception around this team. I love Sean McVay. I think Todd Gurley and Aaron Donald, their style of play, it travels. I'm all in on the LA Rams. Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers this week on CBS. Chiefs favored by 4. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
A season ago, it was another team from the AFC West that owned real estate in my brain in the Oakland Raiders. This year, it's been the Kansas City Chiefs. But, Adam, that's not going to stop me from going against the Chiefs that are not only 5-0 straight up, but 5-0 against the number to start the season. Pittsburgh, during the playoffs last year, their defense was able to stymie everything Kansas City wanted to do on offense. They handed the ball off to Le'Veon Bell and let him attack the weakness of that Kansas City run defense. I think Pittsburgh gets back to basics, and while I definitely worry about the infighting and Ben Roethlisberger doubting his abilities in the twilight of his career, the Steelers, at least for a week, are going to look like a competent football team. Well, competent enough to cover the 4 if they lose by a field goal.
Yeah, that's right. It doesn't matter if they lose as long as they cover the spread. Listen, historically, you're right, and we've chronicled forever on Time to Shine the Mike Tomlin choke game, which is usually followed up by a phenomenal victory. History's on your side, but I just think the Chiefs are that good. Arrowhead is that tough, and I think the Steelers, you referenced the infighting, I think they have a ton of issues. I don't trust Mike Tomlin. I love Andy Reid. I'm going to take Kansas City big, so I think Chiefs are going to win and cover. It's the Raiders and Chargers on Sunday. No line on this one right now. Does it matter, though, Todd? Because we all know that you're going to pick against the Raiders like you do every single week on Time to Shine.
You're exactly right. I don't even need the points that I know I'll ultimately get when this number gets set. But the Chargers went across the country and finally looked like they had an offense with a pulse. Mike Williams should be back in the fold. Not sure exactly how he'll be used. But Oakland right now searching for an identity, and I think it's an act of desperation to rush Derek Carr back with that broken back. San Diego has a fearsome pass rush. Oakland's offensive line hasn't been nearly as formidable as they were a season ago. We know Phillip Rivers, as a dog, especially in division games, usually raises his level of play. I like the Chargers in this spot, not only to cover when that number gets set, but to win outright and send the Raiders to their 4th straight loss.
Look, you know I'm picking the Raiders, but I hear everything that you're saying, okay? I think that LA has good matchups. I'm excited to watch Mike Williams, who I thought was going to be a stud this year before the back injury. Raiders defense has been terrible. The offensive line's been a disappointment. Amari Cooper's had the yips all year. I think Derek Carr is going to add a lot of energy and urgency to the situation. I'm taking the Oakland Raiders. But, of course, Todd Fuhrman would never pick the Oakland Raiders. The Giants head to Denver on Sunday nights. Broncos favored by 11.5. Todd Fuhrman, take your pick.
I'm trying to think of the last time, Adam, I didn't make Sunday Night Football appointment viewing. This may be the first time all season, and that includes the Colts trip to Seattle. I want no part of watching the Giants attempt to move the football against this Denver defense. I want no part of Trevor Siemian laying double digits against what once was the Big Blue Wrecking Crew. I do think, though, the Giants get a boost by the absence of Odell Beckham Jr. and Brandon Marshall. Not from a productivity standpoint, but a chemistry situation and maybe some distractions. This game is ugly on so many levels. I'll take the points with one eye closed and hope the Giants find a way to keep this game competitive, maybe lose somewhere in the ballpark of 23-13.
I mean, the Denver defense is going to outscore the Giants offense. I'm with you. The game's not a priority, Todd, but I don't know. This has 35-3 written all over it. I'm going to take the Broncos to destroy the New York Football Giants. And no, like I've been saying all week, fire Ben McAdoo, fire Jerry Reese. Let's take a look at the rest of our picks for week number 6 in the National Football League. We are both rolling with the Patriots. We're both rolling with the New Orleans Saints. I've got the Ravens. Todd Fuhrman going with Mitchell Magic and the Chicago Bears to cover. We both have the Redskins, big number, we're not scared. We both have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I remember the Titans. Todd Fuhrman likes the Colts. Friendly reminder to all of our viewers, don't forget to check out Todd's Bet the Board podcast, found easily at bettheboardpodcast.com. Todd, as always, good luck with your picks, and we'll talk to you next week.